Hi everyone from Nymexicotv. We're located here at CUNY Graduate Center with some of the candidates for NYC mayoral candidates. We're with John Lu. John Lu, it's our pleasure to have you here for Nymexicotv once again. I know we're here sponsored by Latin Trends. We also have very important questions about the one issue that's coming up about the driver license for undocumented people, especially in Connecticut. I know that they've authorized this to happen. Now, what do you think will happen for New York City?
Well, first of all, I'm always happy to be on New York Mexico TV, and I thank you for always covering this important event so that people in the community can get full information. I am very much against this kind of measure that would deny driver's licenses to immigrants. I think the Department of Motor Vehicles should grant licenses based on one thing and one thing only: the ability to drive a motor vehicle. The Department of Motor Vehicles is not immigration, is not the federal government. They should focus on making sure that qualified people who are able to drive get the licenses. Otherwise, there could be much more difficult situations. Immigrants, undocumented and otherwise, if they make a living off of driving, they're not going to stop driving just because they're denied licenses. They might continue to drive in unsafe situations, and that makes it more difficult for everybody. So I think that we should stick to the basics of what our Constitution requires, and that people should be allowed to drive so long as they are able to drive and not because of their immigrant status.
Queridos amigos, nos encontramos con el candidato para New York City mayoral candidate aquí en el 2013. Nos encontramos con Adolfo Carrión. It's our pleasure to have you here. We have one major question here for the Hispanic community here in New York. We would like to ask you, what do you think about the driver license being adopted here for undocumented people?
So would you like me to answer in English or Spanish?
Either way.
Pues mira, yo creo que nosotros tenemos que continuar siendo una ciudad de inmigrantes. Hemos sido siempre una ciudad de inmigrantes. Cuando llegan los inmigrantes aquí, los debemos aceptar, integrar en nuestra economía, ayudar en términos de educación y viviendas y desarrollo económico. El desafío más grande es ese, asegurar que el que llega aquí tenga oportunidad. Una de las oportunidades es poder integrarse en el proceso de esta sociedad, y eso para mí es necesario brindar identificación del gobierno y también licencias para manejar, porque si una persona no puede manejar, no puede participar en esta economía, no puede llevar a sus familiares a visitar partes de la ciudad, de la región, o llegar a un empleo. Es importante, yo apoyaría eso, y inmediatamente en el mes primero del 2014 comenzamos con el proceso legal para brindar esas identificaciones y licencias para manejar.
There is no better place in the world. But we have a problem with our political system. We don't participate. People don't run for office because they say, why do you want to do that to your family? And then the next thing they say is that all the politicians are liars and crooks anyway. And they're only in it for themselves. Are you like that? And they tell me, you do much better work not being involved in politics, not running for office. So everybody's trying to discourage you if you're a candidate for running. And the people don't vote. I mean, this election is going to, you know how many votes I would need to actually win the Republican primary? 17,000 votes. To get 40%, 17,000 votes, that's what I would need. And the winner of the Democratic primary is going to be, what, 300,000 votes, is that? In the city of 8 million people. And you know what the real problem is? It's what I said before, money. It really is. If we had free TV time for all the candidates, and we had some way to qualify people, we would be much better off, because look at what they do.
Thank you.
Just let me finish, okay? The people came here to hear discussions.
Yeah, but we're past the time, so thank you very much.
Would my colleagues yield me a minute?
I yield you a minute.
Thank you. 30 seconds. The billionaire comes in and loads up the TV with ads that you can't compete against, and he sells himself like they sell the cornflakes in his grocery stores. And that's our system. And the person with the biggest pile, they usually get to win. Now, some of them won't win, like he will. And we all know why he won't win, because it just stretches credibility at some point. And the woman in Connecticut, she spent $100 million trying to go to the for Senate, the rest didn't win for 2 different terms, and she didn't win. But it's a good way to bet, and it excludes all the media attention, believe me. Because he's a front runner.
Your bonus is over, Jared.
Yes, thank you very much to my colleagues.
New York Mexico TV, we have the New York City candidate, Eric Salgado. We have an important question for you tonight. Basically, we want to ask you, what do you think about a driver license being adopted for undocumented people here, individuals in New York?
Let me tell you, I started to talk about the municipal identification card because right now it's very difficult. I'm for it, first of all, I'm for it, but we are running for mayor. And the mayor have no capability to advocate or basically to do something about that. That depends on the governor, it depends on the state legislator, it depends on the assemblyman. So they talk about the license, especially John Lewis, oh, I want a license, but he can do nothing about that. But the mayor of New York City could do something that is going to be unique. He could provide municipality identification card to all the undocumented immigrants. And right away, it's going to take a lot of problem out of all the Mexican and all the undocumented people who are living in the city. For example, if you get stopped right now in the stop and frisk tactic and you don't have a legal identification card, you have to be arrested for 24 hours. When I went to help the aftermath of Sandy in Brighton Beach, most of the people who were living in the illegal basement were Mexican. Why? Because it's very difficult for them to actually to get an affordable housing in a decent place. Why? Because the first thing that they ask you is for a valid identification card. And they don't have it, so they have to provide shelter for their family, so they end up in illegal basement.
More.
Me llamo Jack Hidary, estoy corriendo para ser alcalde de Nueva York como independiente. Mi madre es de Colombia, de Barranquilla y Bogotá. And I'm running for New York City mayor because it's very important that we bring opportunity for everyone in New York City. We have 900,000 Latinos in New York City. We have a growing Mexican population as well. We have a growing population of all Latinos in New York City. Latinos come to our city and we're building businesses. We're building small businesses. Tenemos que apoyar a nuestras empresas pequeñas. We have to support our small business. We have to make sure that we can support our small businesses, our bodegueros, our restaurants, all the small businesses we have. Right now, many of the bodegas, they're being hit with a lot of fines. We have a lot of fines, multas, every single day. And we have to make sure we reduce these fines and help them grow. That's what we have to do right now. Make sure that we can help our small businesses grow, not just in Manhattan, but in all 5 boroughs. I come from Brooklyn, grew up in Brooklyn, to a family of small businesses, and we have to make sure that we can grow these small businesses all around New York City. This is the history and tradition of our community, and we have to make sure we support that in New York City.
Now, we also have a major topic here going on for the Hispanic culture, especially. We know that in Connecticut they've approved the a Connecticut driver license there. What do you think you will do, like, for undocumented individuals to have a New York State driver license here?
See, we have to make sure we have immigration reform. And as mayor of New York City, I will be the leading advocate to go to Albany, make sure we have the New York State DREAM Act, and also go to Congress, where I've done a lot of work in Washington, D.C., to make sure we have the federal DREAM Act. We have to have immigration reform. If we don't have immigration reform, we're not going to be able to grow as a country. Our country is built on immigrants. My family are immigrants. Many of the families out watching this right now, immigrant families. We have to make sure we have this reform. That is the number one thing we must do for our community. We cannot do it just in the city of New York. We have to fight in Albany. We must fight in Washington, D.C.
No, thank you so much. Now, last message you want to give to the Hispanic culture?
Sure. We have to also make sure we support in schools teaching our traditions and culture. If you go to my website, www.jackformayor.com, you can see my plans and programs to support our culture in our schools. Make sure that we support the teaching of Spanish in our schools, the teaching of our traditions and culture in our schools. Our K-12 schools, right now, there's too much testing in our schools. We need to move away from all the testing, more towards the hands-on experience, the kind of experience that allow kids to grow, arts and languages and physical fitness. This is what will help our kids. And also teaching our kids how to start small businesses so they have the dreams of the future to also realize the American dream. Gracias.
No, thank you so much, viewers. This is Kruzkaya Salamia reporting for New York Mexico TV.
El pueblo está contigo, Eric, seguro. El pueblo está contigo, Eric, seguro. El pueblo Eric, seguro, el pueblo está contigo. Eric, seguro, el pueblo está contigo.